Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Hollyoaks Grace Black is set to discover her husband Freddie Roscoe's budding romance with Mercedes McQueen in upcoming scenes. Grace has helped Mercedes through her cancer treatment, but Freddie has also been a constant support for her, including during the missing year. While Freddie has previously said that Mercedes is like a sister to him, next week they will continue to grow closer, and she gets him a thoughtful gift that leaves him surprised. In scenes that will air in early December, the intriguing romance plot will continue, and when Freddie speaks to his brother Robbie about marriage, it becomes clear there is trouble in paradise for him and Grace. Grace excitedly finds a Christmas gift at home, but she realizes that it is for Freddie from a mysterious woman and gets suspicious. Meanwhile, Jess offers to be Santa for the Christmas launch at Casa McQueen. Theresa and Prince ask Mercedes to come, but amid her latest chemotherapy session, she decides against it. Grace is heartbroken by Freddie's betrayal, but she puts on a smile and encourages Mercedes to come to the launch. Mercedes turns up and is able to spend quality time with her twins. Mercedes thanks Grace for her support by giving her a Christmas card. But when the handwriting matches that on Freddie's gift, Grace realizes that Mercedes has been secretly growing closer to her husband. Grace decides to confront Mercedes during her next chemotherapy treatment. Realizing that Mercedes is falling in love with Freddie, Grace feels betrayed, threatening her friend to stay away from Freddie or else. Later, Grace is furious and demands to know who Freddie has been sleeping with behind her back. She questions Freddie, who says if he wants their marriage to work, and swears he hasn't cheated on her with Mercedes. Of course, viewers know that Freddie recently slept with his brother's girlfriend Vicky, and from the show's winter trailer, this affair looks set to continue. In the village, Freddie tells Mercedes that her meaningful gift has got him thinking. But he doesn't get the chance to say any more, as Grace catches the pair together. How will she react? These scenes will air on the week beginning Monday, December 9, on E4 and streaming service Channel 4. It was a crisp evening in Hollyoaks, and Grace Black stood behind the counter at the loft, watching the crowd ebb and flow like the tide. Her eyes scanned the room, noting familiar faces and the occasional stranger, but her mind wasn't on the night's business. Something felt off. She couldn't shake the sense that something was happening right under her nose, something she wasn't meant to see. Grace prided herself on knowing everything that went on in the village. Secrets were her currency, and control was her domain. But lately whispers had reached her ears, whispers about Freddie Roscoe and Mercedes McQueen. At first, she dismissed it as idle gossip, but the gnawing curiosity wouldn't let her rest. She decided it was time to uncover the truth for herself. The first clue came in the form of a hurried conversation she overheard between Goldie and Mercedes outside Price Slice. Grace had been picking up supplies when she caught the tail end of their conversation. "I'm just saying, Mercy, be careful. He's trouble," Goldie warned, casting nervous glances around. Mercedes smirked. "Trouble is my middle name." Grace froze, her ears straining to catch every word. But they moved on before she could hear more. A knot formed in her stomach. Who was he? And why did Mercedes need to be careful? A suspicious encounter. Later that night, Grace decided to take a detour on her way home, passing by the back alley behind the dog. That's when she saw them, Freddie and Mercedes, huddled close, their faces inches apart, illuminated by the dim glow of the street lamp. She stopped in her tracks, her breath catching in her throat. They weren't arguing or plotting, they were laughing. Mercedes reached up to brush a stray hair from Freddie's face, and he caught her hand, holding it for just a moment longer than necessary. Grace's blood boiled. So it's true. Confrontation brewing. The next day, Grace didn't wait for Mercedes to come to her. She marched into the dog with all the confidence of a queen entering her court, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. Mercedes was behind the bar, wiping down glasses, and didn't notice Grace until she was right in front of her. Well, Mercedes, Grace said, her voice saccharine sweet. I hear you've been busy. Mercedes raised an eyebrow, feigning ignorance. Busy? I always am. What's this about, Grace? Grace leaned in, her voice dropping to a menacing whisper. Don't play dumb with me. I saw you with Freddie last night. Mercedes didn't flinch. Instead, she let out a low chuckle. So what if you did? Grace's eyes narrowed. You've got some nerve. Freddie? Really? You know how close we used to be. Do you think I'll just sit back and watch while you cozy up to him? Mercedes set the glass down with a deliberate calmness. Grace, if you think this is about you, you're mistaken. Freddie makes his own choices, just like I do. The fireworks ignite. Grace's composure cracked. You think you can just waltz in and take what you want without consequences. You don't know who you're messing with. Mercedes met Grace's glare head-on, unflinching. Oh, I know exactly who I'm messing with. The question is, do you? For a moment, the pub fell into tense silence, the air thick with unspoken threats. Grace wanted to lash out, to remind Mercedes exactly who was in control, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the defiance in Mercedes' eyes, or the knowledge that Freddie had already chosen. A surprising twist. Later that night, Grace sat alone in the loft, nursing a drink, lost in thought. She didn't notice Freddie until he was standing right in front of her. You've got something to say, Grace? He asked, his tone calm but firm. She looked up, meeting his gaze with a mix of anger and hurt. Why her? Freddie sighed, running a hand through his hair. It wasn't planned, Grace. It just happened. You know better than anyone that life doesn't always go the way you expect. Grace laughed bitterly. Don't give me that, it just happened nonsense. You could have chosen anyone. Why Mercedes? He hesitated, then said softly, because she makes me feel alive. Grace stared at him, the words hitting harder than she expected. She wanted to be angry, to lash out, but instead, she felt a hollow ache. She knew what it was like to want someone who made you feel alive, to crave that connection. Acceptance or revenge? The next morning, Grace stood at the edge of the village, watching the sunrise, the world bathed in golden light. She knew she had a choice to make. She could wage war against Freddie and Mercedes, make their lives a living hell. Or she could let it go, walk away with her head held high. As the first rays of sun warmed her face, Grace made her decision. She wasn't one to forgive easily, but maybe this time, she could let it slide. Just this once. For now. Epilogue. Grace watched from a distance as Freddie and Mercedes walked through the village, their hands entwined. She felt the familiar pang of jealousy but pushed it aside. She was Grace Black, and no one, not even Freddie Roscoe, would ever break her. Still, she couldn't help but smile to herself. After all, secrets were her specialty, and who knew what other secrets Freddie and Mercedes might be hiding? Maybe this wasn't over just yet. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Hollyoaks Update YouTube channel for more update news.